understood the question. Welcome everyone to the 2022 Alaska SAF annual meeting. The title for this meeting is Fuels Management Workshop, Strategies for Protecting Alaska Communities and Resources from Wildfire. And as you look through the agenda, you'll see that the agenda covers a lot more than that title implies. So why did we pick this topic for this year's annual meeting? Well, I think because it's interesting, right? Interesting topic. But I think we can all agree that over the last couple of decades, there's been an increase in fire severity, frequency, but mostly impact. And I think the impact comes from a number of factors, one of which is that we're expanding into the wildland urban interface more and more, and that creates problems in the WUI area. I'm Ed Morgan. I'm the chair of Alaska SAF this year. And before we go around the room and do introductions, I'd like to say thank you to some folks in the room and virtually. I'd like to start out thanking the Yukon River chapter. Some of you are in the room. Thank you for setting up this meeting and putting together this program. That includes Tom St. Clair, Jeremy Dowse, Dan Rees, and I don't see Adam here, but he's around, Adam Davis. I also want to thank the invited speakers and cadre of experts that we have. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. I tend to move around, so I'm trying to stay in front of the camera. We've got a few, I call them dignitaries today from SAF. One of them, Terry Baker, our CEO. He said he's been called worse. We've got Chris Maish, our president. So Terry's position, Terry, our CEO, that's a permanent full-time position. He's in there for life. Chris has an out. Chris Maish, as most of you know, is the president of SAF this year. It's a one-year term. Last year he was president-elect. This year he's president. Next year he'll be past president. So it's really a 3-year commitment or more maybe. And we've got our District 1 representative on the SAF Board of Directors, Chris Schneff. He's here from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. His district covers North Idaho, Washington, and Alaska. And also I would like to thank Andrea Watts and Melissa Olson, who are helping us virtually. They are the Northwest office of the SAF down in the Portland area. So I'll do introductions in a minute, but a couple of housekeeping things. Okay, we're still getting the bugs out of this meeting. A hybrid meeting, it's a little difficult. I'm trying to look at the audience. I'm trying to look at the camera. So bear with us, we'll get it figured out. And I'm trying to speak into the microphone. A few housekeeping items. Everybody's got a cell phone or some kind of electronic device. Turn it to mute, whatever you need to do. If you get a call, just take it outside. The restrooms for the folks that are here in person are by the front door. If we have to do an emergency evacuation of the room, main doors work, the side doors are good, whatever seems the safest. If we have to evacuate, we'll congregate outside in the parking lot. And this is a no-brainer. We're going to be respectful of everybody else's ideas. And keep in mind that this is being recorded. So whatever you say, whatever noise you make up here will be recorded. And we'll try to be respectful of time. And everybody's got something important to say, and we want to hear everybody's point of view, and we want to make time for that. Like I said, this is a hybrid meeting. We've got the Zoom going on for the virtual folks. We've got in-person people here. For the virtual folks, there's some tips on page 3 of your agenda. If you're having problems, there's a chat option. You can ask a question, and we'll be looking at the chat. And yeah, so if you look at the program in your agenda, we've got several sessions in the morning and the afternoon. We've got 2 breaks. We've got a lunch here for about an hour. After this, we'll have a business meeting for the SAF folks. Anybody's welcome to come to that. I don't know, when I hear the 2 words business and meeting, it doesn't inspire a lot of excitement in me, but this is going to be the best business meeting ever. Trust me. And then tonight, if you signed up for the awards banquet, we'll have that from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And we'll present a few awards and we'll hear from our president on a few topics. And then the field trip tomorrow, I think about 10 people have signed up for that through the SAF. I checked everybody's COVID card. ITC, the Intertribal Timber Council, wanted everybody to be COVID vaccinated. Just rest assured that when you sent me your COVID card, I've already deleted the emails because it had your birth date on it. So any PII is gone from, at least from my email. Okay, we're going to try to do some introductions here, and it might take a little time, but it's important to know who's in the room, and it's important for the speakers to know who they're speaking to, who the audience is. So we'll do name, job title, employer, and location. 4 things. So I'll start. Ed Morgan, my job title is Alaska SAF Chair. I'm retired. And I live in Juneau, Alaska. I have to pass the microphone. Huh. Okay. Is everybody comfortable handling the microphone? I'm trying to be COVID aware. Nobody's wearing a mask. We're all going to touch the microphone. If you don't want to, just say so. So you're not going to be able to see the folks, but virtually, but we're going to pass the microphone around and introduce each other. Morning.
Like so. Chris Sakitis, I work for the USDA, NRCS, and the Michigan Forest. I'm Dan Reese. I forester for Fort Wainwright to the Army in Alaska. I live here in Fairbanks.
Jeremy Dowse. I'm the Northern Region Forester for the Division of Forestry, and I live in Fairbanks.
Good morning, Mike Goyette, Fire Management Officer, Alaska Division of Forestry.
I'm Sue Rodman, and I'm a program coordinator, which says nothing. I do wildlife habitat enhancement for the Alaska Department of Fish and Game out of Anchorage.
Morning, Jennifer Barnes, and the National Park Service fire ecologist. Morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Starlos. I'm a fire staff officer for the Division of Forestry, and I'm based out of Anchorage.
Hello, I'm Tom St. Clair, work for Bureau of Indian Affairs. I'm a fire management officer and live in Fairbanks.
Good morning, Roger Burnside, retired Forest Health Program Manager, Alaska Division of Forestry, currently cooking at Chapter Treasurer in Anchorage.
Morning, Terry Baker. I'm the CEO of SAF.
Good morning, Brian Haugen, Fire Management Specialist for the Fish and Wildlife Service in Fairbanks.
Hi, I'm Paul Mackey, and I live in Fairbanks, and I'm retired now, but I worked for Alaska State Forestry for about 37 years.
Schneff, Extension Forester for the University of Idaho and Panhandle, and SAF Board Rep.
Yeah, good morning. Casey Facebook. I'm the BLM State Fuels Program Lead and here in Fairbanks area. Hello, Abe Davis, Region 10 Fuels Coordinator for Forest Service. 1 week into the job. I live in Fairbanks for 1 more week, and then I'll live in Anchorage.
Tim Skiba, Forester, BLM down in Glen Ellen.
Yeah, good morning. Chris Maish, currently serve as president for SAF, as Ed mentioned, and fairly recently retired state forester from Alaska, and I live here in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Good morning.
In the room, we're going to go around virtually now. Is there some kind of order you can do it in virtually?
Don't think so. Probably just have you just start calling on names. What you see on your screen. So.
Oh, okay. Why don't we go with you, Andrea?
Okay. Good morning. I'm Andrea Watts. I am the Northwest office or manager for the Northwest office that provides support services to Alaska, Washington, and Oregon state societies.
Bob Derlin.
Yeah, my name's Bob Derland. I am retired from transportation manager for Alaska Timber Corporation. I'm the chapter chair of Dixon Entrance chapter and live in Ketchikan.
Molly.
Good morning. I am an educator. I'm the state coordinator of Alaska Project Learning Tree, which is heavily fire education. And right now we're funded by a WUI grant. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Brian.
Good morning. I'm Brian Kleinhetz. I'm a consulting forester for Terra Verde Inc. I live in Juneau, Alaska.
Lisa Naylor.
Hi, I'm Lisa Naylor. I'm a former Alaska SAF member. I'm a coordinator for the Blue Mountain Resource Conservation Development Council in Dayton, Washington.
Melinda.
Hi, this is Melinda Olson at the SAF Northwest office here in Portland, Oregon.
Bob.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Bob Dalrymple and I'm down here in Wrangell, Alaska.
Next is Katie.
Katie Nichols, and I am with Umpqua SAF down in Roseburg, Oregon. We are hosting the Oregon 2023 annual meeting. So I wanted to sit in and kind of see how your guys' hybrid meeting was ran. So we'd maybe have some options when we host Oregon's 2023 meeting.
Good. You can tell us all the things we need to fix.
Going good so far.
Okay. Darren.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Darren Findley. I'm the statewide fuels coordinator for the Division of Forestry, and I'm based in Palmer, Alaska.
And Doug.
Morning, everyone. My name is Doug Beatty. I am based in Palmer, Alaska, and I work for the Department of Fish and Game with Sue Rodman in the Wildlife Habitat Enhancement Program, and I work as a wildlife biologist.
Thanks. Emerson.
Good morning. My name is Emerson Krueger. I'm the Natural Resource Manager for the Matsu Borough and also based in Palmer, Alaska.
Charlie?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Charlie Sake. I work for Chugach. I'm the Division Director for Trust and Land Management Services down here in Anchorage.
Josh?
Hey, good morning. Josh Turnbow. I work for the state of Alaska in Fairbanks, and I am the Northern Region Fuels Coordinator here.
Is there anybody else virtually that I missed?
Nope, Charlie doesn't have his microphone on, so we're good. Thanks.
Oh, that was me. I logged in on my iPad, so I had a conference here. So I'm on twice.
Good. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, he's doing double duty. Okay. Oh, 2 more in the room. You have to talk into the.
My name is Graham Worleyhood. I'm a fuel specialist with the Alaska Fire Service.
Hold it close. Okay.
Beth Schultz from retired Forest Service from Anchorage.
Okay, now have I got everybody? Good. Well, again, welcome everyone. At this point, I'm going to turn over the microphone to our SAF Chief Executive Officer, Terry Baker, who's going to say a few words of introduction before we get started in the program. And the way this microphone's set up, you probably have to stand where I'm standing.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's always great to be back. I was here in 2019. So it's good to have a chance to talk about a couple of things and let you know what's going on. Talk with Ed. We'll probably have some time during lunch for folks to ask questions. Things that are going on with SAF National. One in particular is we have in the past few months, we've actually hired on quite a few folks. So about 8 to 9 new SAF employees in the headquarters office. So actually a few of those folks are remote, so they work in different parts of the country. But really, that's part of a strategy that we work with the board of directors on to really add some depth to our programming and our staffing so that we can deliver our programs as best as possible and increase our efficiency. So been really excited about that. Folks have come on, a lot of really good energy. We've got a good mix of folks who have forestry and natural resource backgrounds and some that have association and specialized backgrounds. And they bring a lot to the team. They're really excited. They think very positively, obviously, about the mission of our organization and be a part of the mission-driven organization. And so we've just really been fortunate where I know a lot of workforce challenges within this sector have been ever present with our ability to go out and hire folks. People have been really excited about being a part of this organization. So really grateful for that and what that means for us moving forward. So really working on them, getting their feet underneath them and learning about the organization, meeting members, but they're eating it all up and coming up with some great ideas. So we're looking forward to what they do in the rest of this year and in the future. In addition to that, obviously one of the big things coming up for us is our first in-person convention in a couple of years. So we're excited about that. That'll be in Baltimore, Maryland this year in September. So it's a little bit earlier than usual, but really looking forward to that. And kind of like this meeting, it's a whole piece of like what have we forgotten in the past 2 years when it comes to having an in-person event. So a lot of moving parts, but again, really excited about that. We've got a great line of speakers. There's information that has been coming out. We've had folks step up to help sponsor and exhibit at the event. So getting back into the swing of things with an in-person SAF convention. So that's coming up, and we're looking forward to where that goes. Continuing down that path, something I think I spoke about a couple of years ago is that we've had some really good work on our committee on forest policy. Obviously, there's what's up on in the world of forestry, forest policy. Oh yeah. Oh, closer. There we go. All right. So quite a bit going on in the world of forest policy. And so one of the things that our Committee on Forest Policy has been doing probably the past 2 to 3 years is getting us out of more of a reactive mode into a proactive mode when it comes to national position statements in 2 ways, actually. And it's like, how can you be proactive in 2 ways? But we have been proactive in 2 ways. So one is a lot of our older position statements. And for those who don't know, we revisit our position statements every 5 years. So a lot of our older position statements were quite lengthy documents, and basically we create them, and not many people other than the ones who wrote them would read them. So we thought, how do we make this more useful, or at least the folks who were in charge of the committee at that time went with that mindset. And so where we switched to is much more efficient position statements, with a handful of pages, with a great literature cited section if someone wants to delve more in depth into them. But also this thought of, we lumped a lot of things into those position statements that it made a lot of sense to start pulling things out and having individual statements on them. So, the irony that we didn't have a position statement on research within SAF was again, quite ironic. So that's one of our newer position statements. We did one on outdoor recreation, one on water resources. We just released one on sustainability of America's forests. And you can see that. I think it's posted on our social media. But really thinking about what are those things that are timely issues facing our forest managers as well as our forests, and how do we support folks? So great work by our Committee on Forest Policy as well as many of our other committees and things that have been coming up. So been really excited about that. We actually just, with the board of directors, finished a strategic plan update last year. So we've been working the plan. A lot of moving parts with that. That's where the staff hiring has come from. Some of the other efforts that we've had over the past couple of years have come into play. So we're really excited about what's going with SAF. Obviously, with our partners, a lot of really good discussions going on around what we do related to forests as a climate solution, all the national efforts associated discussing, wildfire, in particular wildfire in the West, but also reforestation and tree planting. What are some of the key discussions that we need to have and start to put into place to support, again, our professionals trying to address these really significant issues? So more that's coming on that way, but really looking at what that looks like across all the professional sector of forestry. I remember assuming that I had a pretty good idea of the number of nonprofits in forestry and natural resources when I took this job. I started the job and immediately knew I was horribly wrong and had no idea the sheer volume of forestry and natural resource nonprofits. And so that was definitely a learning curve, but it's been fun. It's been great to meet other executives and have conversations about how we work together, because there's not a single organization that's going to have the bandwidth to cover, roads, ESA, migrant labor, workforce. And just go down the list. We literally do have a list. So there is a spreadsheet that we share that's about 30 or 40 different topics in forestry and natural resources. And we break it out across about 10 or 15 organizations. Who's the lead on this? Just so each of us can have an idea of who's taking the lead on what, and then and then who's supporting them and doing the work. And it's critical because everyone has one or two policy people, and there's no way you're going to cover all of those as an independent organization. So really excited about that. Folks are really engaged and excited to see more staff, more capacity, more work coming out of SAF and engagement with the forest policy community as it comes to these discussions. And I'll close out with a couple of quick things, but just want to let you know conversations are already starting for the upcoming Farm Bill and the forestry provisions within that. Obviously, the infrastructure legislation that was passed at the end of last year, having major implications for really every forestry organization, both in rural and urban settings. And so continuing to try to create forums for some of those discussions, and in particular, have conversations around something I was just talking with Roger about this morning, which is, where are all these seedlings going to come from? It's a great conversation. And everyone's like, we're going to plant and go 1 trillion trees. Ooh. And is a great way to start that conversation. So, so a big part of that has been some of our engagement with some different efforts. The International Trillion Tree effort in particular, we're a member of the U.S. chapter that's led by American Forest. And the reason that we are, we've had some questions like, why did we join them? And I'll tell you exactly what, because you've got organizations like Salesforce and Amazon and Hewlett Packard, and they have their sustainability officers on these committees, and they're sitting there saying, well, you just need to plant 1 trillion trees, you just need to plant a bunch of trees. And that's great, but then we start having conversations about forest management, working forests, and the part that they play in the climate discussion. And now these folks are having a more developed understanding of what it means to manage forests. And their language is changing. They're willing to sign on the letters that we're sending to Congress about various forest management issues. And that is going to be one of the things I think is so key and so worthwhile for us as a profession. And it's something we haven't done, because oftentimes if the message isn't perfect, we just kind of look at people and say, you don't know what you're talking about, and walk away. And we can't do that anymore. There's too much money. There are too big of players that are in this space and want to be in this space when it comes to forests as a climate solution. So we have to have those conversations. And honestly, in most cases, the conversations I've had, it's not derogatory. They just don't know, and they're curious. They literally have no frame of reference other than what they've heard in various things on television. So it really is an interesting time for us, and folks are willing to listen. You've got to be willing to talk, which is what I went to forestry school for, is to communicate. And figure out how to have those conversations and really help frame what we do as a profession for folks who don't understand. And so it's an exciting time. It's a challenging time, and this is our opportunity. The spotlight's on us. So look forward to hearing about what's going on here in Alaska as always. And again, thanks for having me.
Thanks again, Terry, and thanks for making the trip. You get the award for farthest travel to the meeting, all the way from Washington, D.C. And, I think I can speak for everybody in the SAF. We're really excited to have Terry as our CEO. How long have you been here? 5, 6 years? 3.5. See, he's already got 6.5 years worth of work done in 3 years. And he's just all kinds of partnerships and beefing up the staff to help the state agencies and chapters and initiatives and all kinds of good stuff. It's just, there's so much good things coming out of Washington, DC, SAF headquarters. So really appreciate you being here. I want to check in with the virtual folks. Is everything going okay with the virtual aspect, Andrea?
Yep, it's looking good. So thanks.
Okay, thanks. And I will put in a plug for Society of American Foresters. We've got some information in the back of the room on joining. We've got information about the SAF, we've got membership applications. So if you think you're interested, talk to some folks. We've got the CEO and the president here and the board member here to ask questions about SAF. But with that, we're going to move on. And I know we're, according to schedule, I said we're going to respect everybody's time and we're already behind schedule, but we've got a little buffer time built into the schedule. So we're looking good right now.